Hey there, families. I'm Brenda Crosier, for those of you that don't know me, and it is very nice to meet you. I wanted to give you a little bit of a introduction to what classes are like, and for those of you that have taken classes with me for a long time, some of the updates that are different this school year. I'll try to hit those first as I can so that I can tell you you're ready, just log out, you're good to go. Um, I teach math and writing classes. I've done this for decades, and I love it. I absolutely love my job. Some of the things that we will use in our classes include Ziteboard, which is an online whiteboard. It's just a website. It's called ziteboard.com. And it gives us a private whiteboard for our class so that anyone can draw or doodle or write something at the same time as other classmates or the teacher anywhere in the world. And so one of the things that you can do to get ready for classes is to create a login at ziteboard.com. May I show you what I think is the simplest? When you go to ziteboard.com and you click login, I highly recommend that you just click login with Google. Of course, we could put in an email right here and a password. And the very first time we would click sign up. And then the next time that we came in, we would click login every time after for the rest of the time that we use Ziteboard. But unless you use iCloud or other browsers, unless you use Apple browsers, why am I blanking? iOS, then I would recommend, if you're using Google Chrome, to click this button. It's fast and instantaneous. And so all you have to do is share with me the Google email that your student is using, and I can invite them to our private whiteboard. So I recommend that you show them how to click login with Google each time. It's much faster and simpler. Okay. So ziteboard.com is one of the things that we will use in our classes. Another thing that we use is Google Classroom. It's just a homework portal. It's a place for homework in our grade book. That's what it's for. And then we use Zoom. The other thing that we have that can be helpful for you, I have some YouTube playlists that can be helpful to show you how to check my student's grade or how to upload a picture to Google Classroom. And so those types of things are available for you. And I've included those in the email that I sent out with this video so that you could have those. The other thing that was in the video were book links. If you haven't purchased books yet, you'll want to jump on that right away. And the links in that document will show you what to purchase. And class links like the Zoom login or the Google Classroom that you need or an invitation to Ziteboard. And so while it looks like a document that's kind of flooding you with information, the class links one, it has everything in one place. And so hopefully that is helpful to you. Feel free to explore those and get connected with those before class even starts in a week and a half. Okay, other things that might be helpful. This is our schedule. Classes have moved days and times. There has been some shuffling. And those of you that have shuffled, you know what I mean. So take a look right now and make sure that what you're expecting matches the schedule, because this is solid. This one is now a concrete schedule and it will not change again. In our classes, I will allow students to get behind. I will allow them to not turn in homework, and I'll remind them a little bit, but I'm not going to hound them and chase them down. And in the beginning, especially for high schoolers, there's this perceived benefit of not having to do your work. And eventually it catches up with them. When it does, I'm here to help. The first 4 weeks of classes for any class, because we're figuring out technology, any work can be turned in late, no problem. After October 7th, work can't be late anymore. I won't even grade it. If it was late and I've graded everything, it's closed. My family has asked for more time with me this year, and not returning to regrade what I've already regraded is one of the ways that I'm going to provide that to them. However, they can bring their grade up. Ask me for extra credit. You need to ask. A parent can request it or a teacher. Students can't request it. They'll need to have an adult request it so the adults are aware of where they are at in their grades and in their schoolwork. But I'm happy to give extra credit and help them bring their grade up. And it'll take time and it'll be work, but they can do it. So if you suddenly discover that the grade is super low, don't despair. Just look at your student and say, you have some work to do. Let's see what Brenda can provide you. So that's how late work will work in my classes. No late work accepted after the first 4 weeks of classes, which I believe lands on October 7th as the first day for which no late work will be accepted, period. Okay, grades this year will weigh heavily on attendance. If your student's in class, their grades are going to be great. If they're not in class, they don't attend class, but they turn in work through Google Classroom, their grade won't go well. And so please let your students know they do want to be in class. If by chance there's a reason that you would like me to excuse someone from class and not have their points go down for not being in class, just ask me and I'll excuse it. Send me an email. I'm communicating via email mostly this year. Send me an email asking me to excuse them from class. It might have been an emotional breakdown day. It might have been a day where you guys are on a field trip, or they just need some time. And so if that's the case, and it's pretty rare, just send me a message. I'm happy to excuse them, and then their grade won't go down for missing class. If a parent doesn't ask me in advance or after the effect, their grade will drop, and students will realize that being in class and participating with us as we do things together is one of the most important parts of our class. So parents can request that I excuse absences periodically, which will not bring down their grade. Here's what students need for class. They need to log into Ziteboard. If they can log in before class, that would be even better. And remember, the login with Google button that I propose is super helpful. They'll need a Google account for their Google Classroom. It doesn't have to be a Gmail address. It could be an iCloud address that's just used in a Google account. We create an account using any email. However, I would love if the identifying name for this person in this Google account matches them somehow. ProGamer247 tells me nothing except that I have a gamer. But if the last name of the family, at least, or their first name would be even better, is there to identify them, that would be really helpful. And you can change a Google account. You can change your name in a Google account anytime. So feel free to check your students and see what it says. That will be helpful to me. I'm not the only one who does grading. I have others that help me grade, and they don't know who ProGamer257 is. So let's make sure that that's easy for everyone. Okay, there are frequently assignments where students need to take a picture of their work to upload it. And I will tell you that I use my phone. The simplest way for me is to take a picture on my phone, a parent phone, and then I have an app called Google Classroom app, and I can go into the classroom and into the assignment and very quickly upload work from my phone. And that's how I choose to do it. Students can be independent though. They don't have to rely on you. They can literally hold their homework up and take a picture with the camera that's on their Chromebook or their laptop or in other methods, and they can upload those images. I have a YouTube playlist that gives all the different ways that can work, like taking a screenshot with a Chromebook or a PC, or how to upload work from a phone. And so if you have questions about that, just ask. I do not want the technology part of class to feel difficult. We have better things to do with our time. Let's close this one, and we're back over here. Okay, if you're in a math class, you'll need an IXL.com account. Your school might have one already. Ask your teacher, do we have access to IXL.com already, just as being part of the school? Because you might. And the way that students will upload their work for math is they will upload a screenshot of IXL. Do I have IXL open anywhere? Let's just go there really quickly, shall we? Hold on, I'm just going to click through because I know it's open. Let's go find it. Pick one, anyone. Okay, fine. Be that way. See if I care. IXL.com. Let's go. I do need to sign up or sign in. If they're not signed in, then they'll do all their work and they have to do it again later and they will feel very sad. So be sure that they're signed in. Encourage them to check that. I'm going to choose to do this over here. Hey, look, I found it. Are you so proud of me? Okay, you'll notice that right now I already have a score of 28. I just need to get it to 90. And so I look at my questions. It says to estimate the product by rounding the mixed number to the whole number, the nearest whole number. Oh, well, 4 7/10 is practically 5, and 5 times 4 is 20. Notice that my smart score didn't go up. How about 1 times 5 is 5? There, my score is going up. As they get questions wrong, it will drop their score back down. And if it happens a few times, there are some students, like my children, that feel like they're a victim to IXL.com. It's out to get me. Just let them know that IXL is not out to get them and they're not a victim. They don't know the content yet. They just didn't get the question right. And so IXL is showing them that they don't have that skill down yet. Thank you so much for giving me a moment. I appreciate it. Okay, where were we? If they discover that their IXL score is dropping and they're getting discouraged, hello, hi. If they're getting discouraged, tell them to take a break. Not quit, but take a 10-minute break and then come back. Have them read through what it says as what should have taken place on the problem that they got wrong. If they're like my child and they're reading and it's just wah, 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 empty words in their head and it's not making any sense, tell them to read out loud. You could tell them to come to help hours. I have drop-in help hours 4 days a week where they can come in and say, Brenda, can you just do this IXL with me? Can you help me? Yes, I'm happy to do that. They can ask questions at the beginning of class. I usually leave the last 10 to 15 minutes in English language arts or math for questions. And so tell them to ask me. I'm here to help. If they're overloaded emotionally and they're discouraged, then something's not going well. And I would love to fix it because I want them to feel confident and capable and take a break when they're not. So that's my bit of advice there. Okay. Okay, here's how class goes, whether it's English language arts or mathematics. They will log in. We will do a Ziteboard activity right away. It makes it fun for the kids. It helps them to engage right away and to look forward to logging into class. And we have so much fun on Ziteboard. And the fun is always themed to specific content and not just taking time. And I love it. I love that. For English language arts, we'll have a discussion. If it's math class, we will create our own notes together. They're called doodle notes. It's basically, they're like interactive notebooks. It's where they create notes so that when they start their homework, they can actually look at something instead of that moment that our students have where they sit down at the kitchen table and they start to do their work and they go, I don't know what to do. Instead, they'll go, where are my notes? And they'll find them and they'll say, hey, I know what to do. And they're empowered. And that's important. Okay. At the end of class, 10 to 15 minutes is left for asking questions. And then drop-in help hours are available. It's the red. Almost every day of the week, just not Monday. So encourage them to come on in. I will say that every once in a while, there will be a few students in help hours where there are a lot of needs. And so what I'll do is I'll just assess who has what and what homework is due when. And I might ask a student to come back the next day for help hours and to work with them then. And on that next day, I'll prioritize them. But some days I'm just sitting in there waiting for someone to come and ask for help. So encourage them to do so. In fact, one of their homework assignments will be to log into at least one help hour for points. So let's get that started early on. Homework can be adapted to match your students' needs. If they're in one of my classes, but the grade level was off because of the timetable that you needed to have, or you notice that the workload is too much and they're starting to feel really discouraged about class, then contact me via email and let's create an individualized plan for your student. We can be flexible. Let's help them to figure out what's next for them at their pace. I will give them enough to challenge them, but I do not want to overload them. And so please communicate with me and we can partner together to figure out what that should look like. If by chance they're whizzing through their homework very quickly and you can tell that they really need just a little bit more, ask me. I have other things that I can provide that will feel like activities, not just more homework, and can keep them learning at their own pace. And I love personalizing and figuring out what that is. Okay, if you have a math student, I will give them about 5 assignments per week in IXL, 5 different topics. I expect them to take about 30 minutes. If it's taking them longer and they've been at math for more than an hour, stop. Just turn it off for the day and come and ask me for help. I don't want them to feel discouraged. Another thing that they can do, they need to take their score in IXL up to 90. That's the amount of points for every homework assignment. But if they go to 100, because that one was easier, they have 10 extra credit points sitting in the grade book. And so the next day when they have one where they're like, I don't get this topic so well, they could stop at 80 because the 10 extra points from the day before have made both of them average out to 90. 2 different days where they go to 100 allow for another topic where they're like, I just don't get this, to be stopped at 70 and their grade is still in an A. So by all means, encourage them to go up to 100 whenever they can. If there's a day where they just are not going to get up to the score that they need and their homework's due, tell them to turn in their work with at least a score of 20. If their SMART score says at least 20, they can turn it in. And then anytime in the semester, including during help hours, we can take it up to 90 and then change their score in the grade book. But if they don't turn in anything, if there's no screenshot of their final score, because that's how they turn in their homework, if there isn't a screenshot at all or there's nothing, then it's a 0 and it will stay a 0. So encourage them to at least get to 20, take a screenshot and upload it. And then I will help them later. My goal is to facilitate them in their confidence and their learning as much as I possibly can. And that's a really helpful way for a math class. All right. I do have an AI integrity policy. In fact, it's just an integrity policy. In math classes, sometimes students, perhaps this is yours as well, they just have Google open and they type in 6 times 8 and hit enter. And then Google gives them a feedback of 48 and they use it like a calculator. In elementary school, no calculators. In middle school, sometimes. In high school, yes, use a calculator. I don't expect you to use everything for calculations in your head. We're trying to use our brain on higher thinking processes instead. If your student needs a calculator, don't let him use Google. It will lead to a lack of integrity and it's a downhill slope, too slippery. Instead, I recommend this particular calculator. Can I find it? I bet I can. You know what? I think I took a screenshot. Let's upload it right now onto Siteboard. The TI 30XS is the best non-graphing calculator out there. And that's what I recommend. Right now, it's at Walmart for like $8. And so it's not a burden. This happens to be a screenshot that I took today, and on Amazon, it happens to be about $15 right now. Let's try that again. Patience is a virtue. Yay! The TI 30XS, this is the calculator that I recommend. And so if you know that they're going to be using technology and they're in high school, I recommend that calculator or a graphing calculator if they're headed towards calculus. And if they're in middle school, I recommend that calculator. And in elementary school, not yet. We'll get there though. We'll get there. And it's okay to think and have nothing in our head at first. Because thoughts come. And eventually, when they say 6 times 7 and there's nothing, soon 42 fills their brain. We'll get there. All right, that's my AI integrity policy. If I discover that a student is allowing technology to do all of their work and they are not using their own thinking power, there are consequences in the class. Eventually, the student is removed from class. First, I'll just talk with them and I'll say, hey, it looks like you might be using technology instead of thinking this through. And I'll give them a warning. Next time, I'll involve parents. The third time, I involve teachers in school. The fourth time, I no longer teach them. I teach them to have integrity by no longer allowing them to be in my class. And the registration fee is forfeited. So just know that I'll give them opportunities and that it's likely to happen. Every year, I have students that are very uncomfortable that they have realized that they have not kept their integrity in their learning and the consequences come. And so just know that that discomfort can be a lesson. They'll learn. It's okay. If your student has a writing class, an English language arts class, and by the way, the math classes and the English language arts classes will cover all of the standards for the year for whatever grade your student is in. Here's how the homework goes for English language arts. We have a book called Fix It. They've taken a classic story like Jungle Book. They've broken it down into sentences. There are about 1 or 2 sentences per day on a page. There are some mistakes in there that aren't in the actual classic book. And so they need to find them and correct them. And then we'll identify things. At first, we'll underline nouns, and then we'll find ly adverbs. And eventually we're looking for prepositional phrases. And in the beginning, they go, I have no idea what that is, Brenda. And we teach it and we find it in the book. And maybe they don't. Maybe for that homework, they can't find it. Just turn it in. Fix It can be turned in. It doesn't have to be 100% complete. Find what you find, fix what you fix, turn it in. That'll help me to know what's hard right now. After a few weeks of finding prepositional phrases, they go, I've got it. I totally get this now. And they love prepositional phrases because they own it, because they've discovered what that really means out of using a Fix It book and just doing 1 or 2 sentences per day. If your student ends up not liking Fix It, it's probably because they're trying to do all of it in one day. It's meant to do 1 page per day. So tell them, open up your Fix-It book, do your 1 page, close the book, go put it back on the shelf, go play, and let Fix-It do its job. It is amazing. The other grades, elementary grades and middle grades, have another workbook. High school does not. High school just has a Fix-It book and a novel. The other grades have another book. It gives us sources and ideas for our writing, and it ends up being a wonderful program. In the beginning, they won't even need to create their own writing. We'll take what somebody else wrote and we'll just make it better. They'll learn how to take notes from 3 words only per idea, and eventually their writing becomes wonderful and amazing. And the topic sentence is where it belongs, and the clincher, which is a concluding sentence that matches the topic sentence, is where it belongs. And pretty soon we're at a 5-paragraph essay, depending on your grade level, and we do it slowly but surely. Okay, we're back. Thank you for being patient with me. I appreciate it. So let's go find where I was. Right here. Okay. Do you remember I said a minute ago that they're going to earn points based on what they highlight? In this particular assignment, they needed to be sure to include a because clause, and they highlighted the word because to show that. They included an adjective and they highlighted it, an ly adverb like commonly, a who-which clause, and a strong verb. Down at the bottom of the page, this person happened to use lots of emojis to take their notes. Their keyword outline has 3 words per idea that they want to take notes of, and they can do unlimited icons or drawings after that, but only 3 words per idea. They created this first from a source, and then the next day they came back and they looked only at this to write their work. That way they have academic integrity automatically because they're just looking at notes. They're not even looking at the original source anymore. Here's one more example. This one doesn't have any underlining. This one right here has a simpler keyword outline, and you can tell that the assignment was to highlight a because clause, a who-which clause, a strong verb, and an ly adverb. This person earned all of their points because they highlighted the part of speech that we were focused on with what we're doing that particular week. Okay, that should give enough of a glimpse at what class is like and what homework is like. I will give personalized feedback to any student that submits with a Google Doc. If they just take a picture of their handwritten paper, totally fine. Nothing wrong with that at all. They just need to highlight on their paper and then upload a picture. If they use Google Docs, I'll be able to give them personalized feedback about every 3 weeks. And I look forward to doing that. That's one of my favorite parts of my job. Okay. If you still have questions, and I expect that you do, because this has been kind of thrown together and I didn't think of everything, be sure to let me know. I'll be available on Friday night at 6 p.m. to answer questions live from teachers or parents, and I'm always available via email as well. Classes start in about a week and a half, and I really look forward to starting and meeting your students and beginning once again. Thanks, everybody. See you soon.